Just ate a lozenge. Is that the word?
A what?
Lozenges?
Like a cough drop or
Yeah,
something.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And realized that's not a good start. All right, fucker.
Well done.
Yeah, I scarf him down like there's no tomorrow. Uh, it's my what's it called? My vice,
Yeah.
the opposite of virtue.
Uh-huh.
I stopped smoking like almost 10 years ago, but the lozenge train has kept on going since. All right, so let's get going. Welcome, people of Earth, again. Today we're doing another shortcut episode, this time with MK64 specialist galore, Beck Abney. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure thing. We actually, and Carol, introduce yourself.
Hey there.
That'll do. We've been talking about having you on the show for quite a while, but just never found the perfect moment. But this seems good to me. So we'll
Yeah.
talk a bit about your start in MK64 and things that happened up until this point, and possibly the future. You know, standard interview stuff.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Right. So, taking it all the way back, I've been part of the community or known about the MarioKart64.com site since I believe 2004 or late 2003, and pretty much followed MK64 all the way until I'd say right about the time where Matthias overtook MJ. Is like where I kind of lost interest. Also, I was a
Yeah.
huge MJ fanboy, more than I'd like to admit. I think Carol knows the story of my first mail to MJ, but let's keep that out of this. Um, anyway, so when do you make the entry into the scene? Because I only knew about you when I came back, like a couple of years later, 2017 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I joined the site in like late 2013 it was. So
Right.
I joined I think in maybe late August and then just submitted a timesheet and then I came back like a month later and I've been around ever since.
So you started off non-shortcut strictly?
I think I actually submitted quite a few shortcut times as well. I remember the first track I was playing was Wario Stadium Shortcut.
Right.
Me and my brother were going back and forth on it, so I definitely had been doing some shortcut stuff as well. But yeah, I submitted a full non-shortcut timesheet and probably a handful of shortcut things.
Yeah, that's a pretty late entry for, most of the dominant players have been chugging along for years. So 2013, 2014 is pretty fresh when it comes to MK64 in my mind.
Yeah,
So do you remember how you got turned on to the site?
I think I just had my N64 out for some reason, and I decided to play some MK64, and I hadn't played it in years and years, but I think I was messing around and saw that the mini turbo mechanic was in there, which I didn't really even remember being a thing, and
Right.
I'm pretty sure I was just Googling how to do the mini turbo and somehow came across the Mario Kart site and thought, hey, I'll fill out a timesheet and see what happens.
So do you remember where you joined on the ranking?
I was like around 350 or so. I think that would be equivalent to like the high 400s now, maybe.
Yeah, people keep on joining. I mean, last time I checked, it
Yeah,
was a bit north of 1,000.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Because when I joined in 2003 or four, it was I want to say south of 300, but around 300 or so.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of strange to me that people keep joining the game this late, because
Yeah.
yeah, usually it goes in waves of nostalgia. So it's when the game is new, and it's when the guys who grew up with the game as youngins are old enough to speedrun. That's another wave, but MK64 is
Yeah.
past that point for
Yeah,
both.
exactly. It's kind of surprising when we get younger guys joining the site who probably like we have a lot of newer guys who were born after the game came out,
Right,
so
yeah.
it's always kind of surprising.
Actually, I was in just a random MK64 stream yesterday, and there were two guys playing match race. And I gotta say, the level was surprisingly high for people who don't know about the site or anything.
Oh yeah.
And they were apparently,
Yeah, occasionally you find those.
yeah, yeah, and they were practicing for like a local tournament in America, uh,
Huh.
which was like it was a part of a bigger, you know, something con. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah. There's something in Las Vegas going on sometime soon, I think.
oh, okay, it may have been that. So I tried turning him on to the Virginia meeting, but actually no. But
Yeah.
I think they actually want to go because they have families in Virginia, so it
Oh
kind
really?
of works out. But I don't know if there's any more room or stuff like that in the Virginia house.
Yeah, there's definitely no room. They're probably gonna end up having to like get another house or something for the overflow. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Getting pretty crowded there.
Yeah, yeah. But you made it in, I hope.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna jump a little bit in time here. I think most people will have known you from the Summoning Salt video. Is that correct?
Yeah, quite a few for sure. Yeah.
That's at least what I hear. And if you want to talk a little bit about your appearance in the video, and as far as I know, you helped Summoning Salt create it as well, or provide
The
info.
Cargo Mountain one, yeah, yeah. He's made couple now, but the Chago Mountain one, I gave him a lot of kind of the history. I dug up a lot of the old forum posts and stuff that would be useful. Um, that was mostly it, and I had a lot of extra videos and things like that. But yeah, I remember he just said he was making a video about Chago Mountain, and I dug up a bunch of info for him, and I know I I knew that video was coming out, and me and Frankie were actually going back and forth on the shortcut lap record for Chaco Mountain,
Right.
like as that video was being made. And Salt told me like, "Hey, I'm putting the video out tomorrow," so I stayed up all night to playing the shortcut lap because Frankie had just beat me, and
Yeah.
I tied him at
All right. Yeah.
3 a.m. or something.
Yeah. The tie got into the video. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So we had to make a quick edit on the video.
Is that still the F lap record?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're both still tied there.
Okay. Yeah, that is a pretty cool video in terms of the Shoko Mountain lore. I actually watched it today just to rewatch,
Yeah,
and I feel like 90% of the comments are the same. Summed up, they are like, "Here's a game I don't care about, a mode I don't care about, and yet I'm glued to the screen for 30 minutes."
yeah. That's a lot of his videos are like. They're still pretty appealing, even if you don't feel like you're interested in the game.
Yeah, yeah. So, how was the grind for the 3 lap there?
Oh, I remember I came back from like the meet that year, and then I'd done like a few streams, and it was like a month later or something. But all of a sudden, I just was like doing some Chaga Mountain attempts, and thought, I might as well just go for this now. I kind of had some motivation for I don't know what reason, but uh, I'd only done 2 out of 3 at that point. So I thought, hey, I kind of had done it enough to know what the stats were, how many kind of attempts it might take, and I think I figured that I would. It was about 1 in 100 maybe for me at the time to just hit it once.
Right.
So I thought, okay, well, I'll play it until I've hit 2 out of 3 100 times. It might take me a super long time, but of course, I ended up getting the 3 out of 3 on like my after I had hit 99 2 out of 3s or something.
Oh, really?
Um, but yeah, so I don't know what I would have done. The hit rate was improving so
Yeah.
much along the way. I kind of cut my hit rate uh, by quite a bit. So I was maybe hitting it 1 in 50 or even better some days. But yeah, I got to the point where I'd hit so many 2 out of 3s that I just kind of wasn't gonna stop it after I've gone that far.
Right, because in the video, I think Salt quotes your hit rate at 2.5%.
Yeah,
And apparently, in the start of your attempts, it's slightly below that. But by the end, it stands at like 6.3 or something in your session counter.
yeah. Well, just that day I think was kind of a crazy. I always had the hit rate for that day and then the overall one.
Right,
And for that day it was like well above what I normally was getting. I think I had multiple 2 out of 3s that same session,
right,
so it was definitely my best session, even excluding the 3 out of 3.
right. I mean, that journey must have been so frustrating. And I
It was
mean,
kind of it was. I had so many people surprisingly watching on Twitch that that definitely helps. I was kind of surprised that people actually were just ram into a wall for 3 hours straight, but yeah,
Can I chime in real quick here?
sure.
it's pretty
Just
crazy.
for a bit of reference, like by now, how many people have actually done 2 out of 3?
Uh, Frankie has done it once, and then yeah, that's it.
And you've done it like 100
Like,
times or 99 times.
yeah, yeah,
It's pretty crazy.
yeah. It was a lot of grinding.
Yeah, it's quite a dedication. But was that your first sort of Twitch fame, or did that come from something else?
No, I was quite a bit more popular before that. Actually, just doing the skips runs, all of those. I was usually getting. There was a point in maybe it was like early 2017 through the summer of 2017 that I was getting, 400 viewers on Twitch. I think the Weathertenko attempts, I was maybe getting like 100 plus
Okay,
or so. But yeah,
it's
I
pretty.
guess these skips is a bit more pleasing to the eye.
yeah, the skips runs are far more popular, and I was also streaming, 5 6 hours a day every single day, which helps quite a bit.
Is that like a misaligned incentive in terms of, especially maybe the time trial rankings that you get that much more viewership from the any percent?
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because a lot of the time I really would just rather be playing time trials,
Yeah, and
um,
then there's the
especially at this
usual,
point. But
right, and then there's usually the criticism that you're just doing the same thing over and over, which
yeah,
leads back to the Weathertenko, which is the most pure form of doing the same thing over and over.
exactly. Yeah,
But
I think it's
somehow,
just like people just want to see a hype world record, and the obviously if you've got splits up on the side of your
yeah,
screen, all they have to do is look at the thumbnail and see, hey, there's green splits. Let me go into the stream.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and it helps, if the previous world record had a really bad start and I'm ahead of it every
Oh yeah,
single run, I get
more
a
viewers.
hundred more viewers than I normally
Yeah.
would just because of that. So it's kind of ridiculous. I sometimes I would just do like a run with Wario or something, and if people see I'm on Rainbow Road, no matter what character I'm playing, I end up getting double the viewers just because people see I'm at the end of a run.
All right.
So it's always that kind of thing. But people get a lot more bored with the time trial stuff, I guess.
So I think, at least to my knowledge, during CDM and stuff, a lot of people are talking about how you've kind of underachieved when it comes to the non-shortcut rankings in MK64. And part of the blame is thought to be on the misaligned incentive of doing the any percent runs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's definitely it. I basically didn't even play non-shortcut for like a year and a half because I was just doing skips runs. I think I got one non-shortcut PR in 2017, maybe, or 2018. I guess I got a few last year at the end of the year, but I just, yeah, I've probably gotten more PRs non-shortcut in the first few months of this year than I did in the previous 2 years combined.
Right. You gotta do what gets the viewers in. At some point, that's what you want to
Yeah,
achieve.
I was definitely trying to grow the Twitch stream quite a bit, and at this point, I've got a full-time job, so it's just back then I didn't, so it's just one of those things where I don't necessarily have time to stream Mario Kart for 6 hours a day. So
Right.
now I don't stream nearly as much, and I've been doing a lot of time trials again.
To those wondering, will the any percent make a return at some point?
Uh, Probably. I'll probably do maybe a few. I'll probably do a session of it sometime in the next couple of weeks, actually. But I beyond that, I have no idea. I definitely want to keep doing a lot of non-shortcut time trials, but
Right.
I imagine sometime in the future. I don't really know when. I'll go back to the skips things.
Yeah, but as long as you're employed, non-shortcut is favorable.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where I could do a lot of skips runs, but it's like I only have at most a couple hours a day to play, and if I do skips runs, then I can't do time trials at all. Or back in when I was in college, I could do some skips runs, and then I could maybe fit in some time trials on the side as well. So can't really do everything now.
How does that work, by the way? Going back and forth from 150cc with shortcuts as compared to non-shortcut time trial?
Yeah, I've definitely done it the most of anyone, just jumping back and forth, especially between like NTSC and PAL.
Right.
But it's not very easy, especially at first. But you kind of get used to it, especially if you're just doing skips runs. You don't have to focus on the driving nearly as much. So if you're
Yeah.
doing low mini turbos, it's not really as big of a deal as if you were doing non-shortcut stuff. So that's why I'm able to jump back and forth on shortcut stuff. And I also did a lot of shortcut stuff on the NTSC console anyways. So that's mostly why I was almost always just doing shortcut time trials, just because it was easier for me to jump into and get records on.
Remind me,
Non-shortcut usually requires a lot of play.
is there some advantage to playing NTSC for shortcuts?
No, not really. I mean, a lot of people might say that you get more attempts, I guess,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't consider that a legitimate. I mean, it's something, but it's not nearly as significant as playing in slow mo.
Right. I think I heard someone say because of a chrono, not error, but synchronization issue or something. There's one flap where NTSC is preferred, like Yoshi Valley maybe?
Yeah. The Yoshi Valley shortcut 3 lap. It's a conversion error in our. We use that conversion rate, which isn't exactly perfect, so it makes it one of the world records impossible to get on on PAL.
Are you
Both
talking
of
about gap splits?
Well, it's similar to that, yeah. It's pretty. It's like the reverse of that.
Right.
So
Shout outs to VHA.
I don't think my
yeah.
brain has the power to compute these VHA theorems, to be honest.
Yeah.
What's the other one, Carol?
Oh, contrafusion theory.
Oh yeah, that's the
Oh
one.
gosh.
Contrafusion theory. All right. Yeah, let's not get into that. Anyway, Carol, when you're switching back and forth from PAL to NTSC in Super Mario Kart, I know that takes a bit, right?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're switching from, let's say, NTSC Grand Prix 150cc, which is the fastest version to play the game.
Yeah.
If you want to switch then to PAL time trials, it's terrible. But like Beck says, if you transition a lot, it does get easier over time. Like every time you transition, it becomes easier to adapt, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it just sounds a bit annoying. I wish every game had one definite mode, but
Yeah.
somehow we had to make different TVs for different, continents or whatever. Well, it has prolonged the lifetime of many a game, I guess, in speedrunning terms. Right, so let's go on to the, I want to say issue at hand, but I'm not quite sure how to phrase it. You're back and forth with Matthias, so famously you're part of the A1A, which I get like a 40% cringe when I say that, but as I understand, that's how the MK64 culture is. It's Matthias versus everyone else.
Yeah.
And currently you're the challenger with the most world records, correct?
Yeah, I guess so.
And you have 5 untied ones?
Maybe 4. I don't have a road lap
Right,
now.
right, yeah.
Although it's gap split, as you said. So I'll get credit for it in the rankings, which I shouldn't, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's the Mumu Farm 3 lap and F lap,
Yeah.
Bowser Castle F lap, and Rainbow Road 3 lap then.
Yeah.
Right. And then Dan doesn't have anything anymore, just 3 ties.
I think, yeah, I guess Matthias ended up tying. Maybe his Kubatura Beach was the
Yeah,
last one.
yeah.
So yeah,
And Soran has the DKJP flap.
yeah,
Surprising how many ties there are in MK64. I didn't think that
yeah,
was gonna be a thing like 10 years ago, but it's quite
yeah.
common it
It's
seems.
kind of crazy. I think a lot of it though is also you get a tie with Matthias and you'll just take you're happy to just leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, what's your goal here? Do you just hop around tracks you find fun, or do you have like a specific target these days? I know it's Rainbow Road now, but it keeps changing, right?
Yeah. Well, at first I was just beating a bunch of my lower ranked times. I had some 10th place times and stuff that I went through and got a bunch of PRs pretty quickly. Um, and then I ended up playing Mario Raceway for like a month just to get a 3rd place time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So after that I slowed down a bit and just decided I'd go try to pick up Rainbow Road. But my goal was originally I was trying to get all my non-shortcut stuff top 5 rank. I've got a couple that are 6th and 7th. I've got the Chaco Mountain non-shortcut. It's my lowest ranked, so I probably want to play those. But yeah, I'm also trying to pick up some records as well.
Yeah, reminds me a bit about GoldenEye, where there's a much larger gap in GoldenEye between being a record holder and being ranked highly. Those are like
Yeah,
super separate in GoldenEye, and I guess you're kind of been there as well, having quite a few world records without being ranked, like super near the top. I guess near, but maybe not
yeah,
where
I've
your
got
potential is at.
yeah. MK64 is kind of weird that way, where it's like you end up just back and forth forever, and you're trying to. It's so much more for something like GoldenEye, where you get a world record in GoldenEye, especially like an untied, you're pretty much not worried about losing it. Like someone could tie you, but it's like you
Yeah,
still have it.
right.
Like someone most likely will tie you. Whereas like MK64, if I beat a world record, it's more than likely that it's not going to get tied. So it kind of ends up just making it more competitive that way. Just trying to keep records becomes a lot more difficult when you don't have 50 people tied.
Right. Yeah, certainly. Um, I've got a question regarding track, being a track specialist, because this used to be a phrase back at least
Yeah.
10 years ago. How do you feel about that in MK64 in the current state?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing for. I mean, MK64 is, I think, known to be a lot more balanced than the Mario Kart games.
Yeah,
Or if you're good at one, a lot of the time you're probably going to be highly ranked on most of the others as well.
right.
But it's pretty clear, obviously, that people like I have zero chance of getting a Chaco Mountain non-shortcut record, but I can definitely compete on 4 or 5 other tracks pretty well. So, and then Dan, of course, has quite a few that he can play as also. So it's kind of hard to say. Obviously, Matthias can basically compete on every single one. So
Yeah, his weakness seems to be the tracks
yeah.
with a lot of variance due to tricky shroom or some sort of finicky mechanic.
Yes.
So pure driving is just a cut above.
Yeah, and I typically have been kind of the opposite, where my records end up being something like Calamari Desert, where a train's in your way, or Moo Farm and Bowser's Castle. You have thwomps and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've
Usually
heard it
helps me.
being said actually by Mol, I think it
yeah,
was, that you have the best MT speed out of anyone though.
yeah. He did state
Yeah,
this last year. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not so sure. I feel like that might be a running joke at this point. I've
Oh,
heard.
Oh, okay.
I was not aware.
I got fooled by
I've,
Mol.
I've, I think I've also heard people say that about MJ or something. I've had multiple people quote this in my streams, so I'm not really sure where it
Really?
comes from. Yeah.
Because when I was talking to this is from CDM, right, Carol?
Yep.
I was talking to David because I've been out of the loop for MK64 so long. I just kind of returned to the scene for last year's CDM, really, or Kartritis. And I was kind of talking about is MK64 done and done? Is it just Matthias from this point on? And the conversation kind of went like David doesn't think Dan is ever gonna overtake Matthias, but that you Beck have the most untapped potential, and he specified the MT speed.
Yeah, he didn't sound like he was kidding. That's true.
No, and he usually does.
Exactly.
Well, well, I definitely have fallen behind from not playing a non-shortcut, but it's one of those things where it's just so hard to catch up at this point. Like I can get a world record, but Matthias basically only has to play 1 or 2 tracks. Like he has all the records, so I have to play every track to attempt to catch up. Where if Matthias loses a record, he can just go and play that one track, and it's just like, unless you're outpacing him constantly, getting more and more PRs, it's very difficult to catch up. I mean, obviously, I definitely play way more than anyone else, but yeah, I don't know how long it would take to try to catch up. You got to kind of do it one track at a time. But unfortunately, in the last few years, I haven't exactly expanded my track specialties. I've pretty much been Moo Farm, Calamari Desert, Rainbow Road, and Bowser's Castle, and those are pretty much the only tracks I get any records on. So it's I've got quite a ways to go on
Do you?
a
So you're
lot of
gonna
the
come
other
back
ones.
on Kalimari Desert? Because that's the one you currently don't have the world record on.
Yeah, I probably will. I mean, I'll definitely go for that at some point. I don't know how soon, but yeah, I would definitely go for that 3-lap. I also got extremely close on the lap, but that one's pretty optimized at this point. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of world records I can really go for without playing for a long time to try to improve.
It's kind of funny with the tracks you mentioned. Those are some of the most annoying in the game. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're not
It's
playing
my
them because
specialty.
you like the tracks, but you like that you can outperform others. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean it's one of those where the I mean Rainbow Road, that's there are chomps and stuff, but I guess the chomps don't really get in the way, so it's not really anything that's helping me out at this point. Maybe it's hurting me if anything, but the like Bowser's Castle was definitely one where me and Matthias were going so fast that a chomp or one of the thwomps would be in the way.
Yeah.
I think on one of the laps, so it's kind of like we both end up being able to get the record just because we're both. You can't go any faster, really. It's just like whoever drives the fastest after passing that one
Right. Right.
thwomp. So kind of, and then similar on Kalmari Desert with the train. Um,
But
and
you
obviously Moo Farm is pretty rough.
yeah, yeah. But Colorado Desert, you're at the have to go through the train level now, right?
Yeah, you gotta go through the very first train gap. So we started going through the very
All right.
last
All
one,
right.
and now we've pushed it so much that we're going through the. You basically need two nearly perfect laps, and then you can barely cut the first train gap.
And is that where the world record is? So it's just about the last half of the third lap at this point.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can definitely improve the other two laps, but it's just like there's not a lot more that you can push it. I think Diaz had like some crazy lap two in the world record, so it's like you could maybe get to lap 3.1 faster. The split might be a little bit more than that, but it's mostly like how clean can you make it through the train without losing a bunch of time.
Right. Sounds a little bit annoying,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
just
It's been a while since I've played that one.
a part of the missing foresight in the design. Because who knew a bunch of which word do I pick here? Avid gamers would spend thousands of hours competing in time trials for these games.
Yeah,
So yeah, a lot of the mechanics are kind of iffy, and it seems like the tracks you mentioned are like the worst. I'm
yeah,
missing Yoshi's Valley from this
I was
list.
just gonna say that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's one of those where I think my current I have some pretty good three lap splits, but it's one of those where I'm so far behind. I'm third place, but Dan and Matthias are like I don't even like over half a second ahead. So I'm just kind of like, and that's how it is on a lot of tracks where I'm like, why bother playing when I could cut half a second off my PR, probably no problem, but I would still be third. So I just end up not playing a lot of those tracks but the total time's definitely helping the rankings. So I probably will jump to Yoshi Deli sometime pretty soon. I know I cut quite a bit off my DK 3 lap pretty recently without gaining any ranks. So
So
it
you're sort of a
helps a little bit.
mixed bag between climbing the or narrowing the gap in the rankings as well as trying to avoid the apparently inevitable 32 of 32.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was saying, it's like I would like to try to catch up, but just I'm never going to catch up just going back and forth on world records,
Right.
which is why I basically stopped Rainbow Road when I just took it back, like, I don't know, last year. Because I was just kind of like, I could definitely beat it, but I bother when I'm just going to make it harder for me to get it back in the future when
Yeah.
I could use it as like an easy boost to jump up in the ranks potentially. But of course, I went ahead and played it anyways since it's been a while. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Try to do. try to do a lot of different things, but it's hard to keep up.
Right. And regarding your previous love for not for shortcuts, sorry, is that on the back burner now?
Uh, I mean, somewhat. I kind of would like to grab those the two records back that I lost on. I got Rainbow Road Shortcut Lap, and
Yeah.
then Dan took Toad's Turnpike Shortcut Lap. I'd like to grab those. The shortcut, trying to do lap 2 attempts on Rainbow Road shortcut.
What's that worth on Rainbow Road? I would guess like south of a tenth.
It's about .2 actually,
Is it?
so it's basically free record.
It's
I
quite
just
painful though, having to do lap 1 all the time.
oh yeah.
It's very annoying to hit on lap 2 though. So I've done it multiple times now, but I end up missing a mini turbo like almost immediately because you spend an hour to hit once and then you haven't driven at all, so it's like you get cold and can't drive well enough. But I think I'm just going to keep playing that one on lap 2 until I get some kind of decent enough run.
I thought the initial zoom start or shroom start, whatever, gets you to the perfect line to set up the spiral jump.
Yes, I definitely had to do quite a bit of testing on lap 2 before I figured out how to actually make it work, because I was like pretty much not able to hit it at all on lap 2 with no brakes. What
Right.
I ended up doing is like sliding into the lap though. Like usually you would release a mini turbo right before crossing the finish line,
Yeah.
but instead I've just been drifting all the way across, like starting a drift right when the
Oh,
lap began.
that's an
So
interesting micro strategy.
it's still been saving me .2 though, so should be pretty good.
What's the normal time saved on lap 2?
Close to .2 usually. I mean, just about that. Usually, if it's just like flat ground,
Yeah, yeah.
nothing weird. Yeah,
I really
on
thought.
PAL that is.
Yeah, right. My head is PAL, so
Yeah.
I just figured it would be slightly less on Rainbow Road, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess yeah, Rainbow Road's pretty straightforward at the beginning of it. It's just kind of flat.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you can kind of do a little bit of a wall bump with the start boost that gains a little bit. I think Matthias always tries to do that when he's doing like 3 lap runs and stuff. So maybe it's slightly less than .2.
right, right. There's one topic where I have even less of knowledge, which would be GDQs. I know both you and Carol have done it, but yours was pretty recent. Do you want to talk a bit
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I guess that was my third GDQ. Um, it's always pretty fun. I was in the DC area in January. It was my first AGDQ. I usually had gone to SGDQ, but yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoy doing the run there. I'd done it a few times, so it's in Mario Kart 64 is always like a super easy one for me. At least I feel like, because I don't really feel much pressure going into it to like do a amazing run or anything, because no matter what, it's even if it's relatively bad compared to the world record or something, there's just so many crazy shortcuts and stuff that
Yeah.
it's fun to watch no matter what. So, but outside of the run itself, GDQ's it's always fun hanging out with people, meeting a bunch of guys. We had a kart meetup like the weekend before GDQ with a bunch of guys from the area.
Right.
That was fun.
Is there a palpable difference between A and S GDQ?
No, not really. I mean, just location, but it's a lot of the same guys go. So AGDQ is kind of nice because you end up with a little bit more Mario Kart 64 guys there. Because like Drew Weatherton lives around there.
All right.
Kyle and some other guys, so we were able to kind of get a little mini meet going. But yeah, either it's not too much different. Basically, no Mario Kart 64 guys ever go to GDQ except for me. So I'm mostly just hanging out with other guys that I know from speedrunning and not really doing a lot of MK64 unless people want to play me in like battle mode. That's
Right.
about all I do.
Best mode.
Yeah.
Do you dabble in any other games?
Not really. I'm sure people saw played a little bit of Goldeneye, but I'm not any good or anything. I almost exclusively play MK64. New games will come out, and I might want to play them, but if I've got time for pretty much anything, it's pretty much MK64.
Right. Because you, Carol, you tend to at least touch upon all the new cards.
Yeah, but not for very long usually.
Well, I think you nabbed a world record in double dash at some point.
Well, that was in 2003 though, so.
Well, yeah.
Still counts, right?
Yeah.
Gotta get those day one records.
Sure.
Word.
Yeah, I think I actually had a day one record too, but it didn't get updated in time.
Oh man.
I was talking to those records to Goomba, and it felt so cringy bringing it up.
Yes.
To, like the current double dash world champion. He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You once
Yeah,
did like.
I think Mark Jones likes to mention his records in a lot of the other games.
Right.
Actually, Stinson did it to me in Super Mario Kart at the
Yeah, really.
American Super Mario Kart meeting that we just had. It was like talking about his Vanilla Lake world record
Of course.
back in the day. It was fun meeting him though, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So
I also have a question actually.
Oh, sure, Carol. Shoot.
Obviously, you're very passionate about time trialing and speedrunning Mario Kart 64. I was just wondering how much importance you place on multiplayer MK64 tournaments, like the Virginia meeting, the Euro meets, potential world meets.
Yeah. I would really like for it to become like a bigger thing. Our meets have always been like somewhat low key. It's getting to the point where we don't have room at these events stuff because there are so many like kind of random unknown guys watch the video on YouTube and are like, oh, I want to go to this thing. But it's like I would love for it to just be like a massive tournament, and that's all people did instead of time trials at this point. It's fun because it's a good mix. A lot of people have a chance to win and stuff. So if I could expand it to be a bigger, I definitely would.
Sorry, I'm muted a bit there. Yeah, I certainly agree. I think the meetings are really, for SMK, it kind of keeps the flame alive, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And for MK64, I think it would be no different. It's just that it hasn't happened at the same scale at all.
It's very difficult for us with like people don't want to travel overseas. So and it's like a lot of people would want to do a big meetup, but you can't just like I couldn't just start a Mario Kart tournament and be like, "Hey guys, show up," because instead of that doesn't end up generating more multiplayer activity, it just splits it because a lot of people can only go to one thing.
Yeah.
And you just end up with two bad tournaments instead of one good one. So it's like it's hard to just kind of have like one mega event.
I have like I suppose a controversial statement in that regard, and that is that although brilliant, apparently, I haven't gone, but the whole Weatherton Lake House thing is kind of detrimental to growing the event itself.
Yes. No, I agree. Yeah.
Right, because I
Because
love
you can
the
only get
initiative.
so many guys there.
Yeah, but it's very personal and private, so it's
Yes,
not open.
exactly. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about the Euro meet that's happening this year, which is I'd say scale up by quite a bit from previous meets, being in Alpha and in a esports arena and everything.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. I would love to go, but it is, like I said, one of those things. I can't take a bunch of time off all the time to go to Mario Kart tournaments and stuff like that. So I would like to eventually, but yeah, if I can. But I also want to go to the Virginia heat, so
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you can only do so much.
It's I get that it's a very big commitment, and also that you probably won't be able to do something like that every year. I'm like in the same position for the ASMKC going in
Yeah.
forward from here, but I think like once every few years, it's definitely worth it to just have one of
Yeah.
these big meetings happen.
Yeah, I imagine they're going to keep doing it at that same venue, which is probably going to get more people to go. So yeah, hopefully I can
That's certainly the
go one
goal.
of the
Yeah.
same years.
Yeah, I gotta say we had the CDM at that venue last year, which it was my first CDM, but I don't think that really matters. The venue made quite an impression, and I have very fond memories and thoughts about going again. So much so that I would go to the MK64 meet just to, I don't know, do commentary or just to watch, really, if I can get the time off.
Yeah.
A great place, great atmosphere in that entire little town, actually.
I hope to see you there one year back, or maybe even this year. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I probably not going to make it this year, although I wish I could, but
So here's a thought: start
hopefully.
Beck Abney to MK64 Championship fundraiser and just play any percent for a few weeks. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's my problem is mostly getting time off
Sure.
work
Yeah. Yeah.
just to begin with. So
Yeah. I
it's
know that feeling.
especially so close. Like if they were 6 months apart, like I could maybe do it, but it's like I can't
Oh
I
yeah,
can't take a week off and then like a month later take another week
yeah,
off.
just a month apart.
Yeah.
I think the American Super Mario Kart Championship certainly did something right with putting space between the two events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is it like
absolutely.
4 months?
Yeah. If it was in August, I would not have gone. Obviously,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like none of the European guys would have gone. So
Mhm.
that's definitely a thing.
All right. I think we've touched upon quite a bit. Is there anything plug your stream or YouTube channel, whatever?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm on Twitch a decent amount doing some time travel. Abney317. So I'm also going to be doing a skips run at some event. It's actually a concert in 2 weeks in Denver, Colorado. I'm traveling there to literally do a skips run at a concert. So
Wow.
That's
yeah, that should
eclectic.
be cool. I'll try to get a video of it if I can.
Oh, so it's
What
not
kind of
streamed.
concert is it?
What was that?
Yeah, what
You
kind of
go, son.
concert? What kind of concert? And will it be
It's
streamed?
the artist is G Jones. I'm like literally opening for him. So
With Mario Kart.
yes, yeah, it's
Right.
pretty crazy. So, but yeah, he's got kind of a promo thing on Twitter for it and stuff, and I'll probably I'll put it up on my Twitter as well. But yeah, it's in Denver the 27th of this month, so I'll if I can get some kind of video of it, I will. I think they're just gonna have me doing a skips run on like a giant TV, so should be cool.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Should
How did
definitely
this
let Joe know
come?
as well.
How did this come together?
I think he watched the Chaco Mountain video.
Summoning Soul Strikes again.
Um, yeah. So yeah, I guess he had been in my streams a decent amount or something, and just likes Mario Kart 64 a lot. So
It
yeah,
sounds a
it's kind of
bit
crazy.
like caviar on your pizza, but Mixing like gaming with music isn't that far-fetched, and they're both entertainment for the audience. So I really like this, and I shouldn't be as surprised as I am, I guess.
Yeah, it's he's like a kind of an EDM artist, so it's like electronic stuff. Uh, I I guess he knows obviously his audience better than me, so I guess apparently a lot of people are really hyped up for it though.
Yeah, well, if you hit the right age group, everyone's played Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's cool. Did you mention the date?
Yeah, it's 27th of this month.
Yeah, I'll definitely be on the lookout. Although I take it won't be on Twitch.
No, unlikely.
They don't
But
tend to
I
stream
might
consoles.
be able to get a video. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, if there's nothing else, I think I'll just say a massive thanks to Beck Abney for joining us. And what's the cringy outro here? Keep on karting? Was that was that what you said in your recent video, Carol?
Keep it real. Is that what Goose always says?
Keep it real. That's good.
Stay true. That's the one.
Oh gosh.
All right. Okay, fair enough. Well, thanks guys for joining, and see you soon.
Yo.
All right. All right.
So we ran over half an hour this week.
Yeah, a little bit. As promised.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That's